Hello, this is the walkthrough for the Iris CCD DevTools application available on the Open Exchange. And before we look at the application, I just wanted to show you the repository. I've cloned the folder here, and also I've already spun it up in Docker. But there is a testing folder with sample data that's included, and these are two CCDs with fake anonymized clinical data that can be used to walk through the tool. Also, in the Getting Started section, you'll find information on how to clone it and then build and start things up. Once Docker is spinning, you should be able to look at the Iris instance through the management portal and also open up this DevTools UI. So we're going to go straight here. You can follow the link to localhost 4000. Once you do that, you'll see this front end. And the reason behind this front end is there is quite a bit of code in the code base for CCD to SDA transforms, and also there are many utilities in Iris for dealing with CCDs, dealing with XML, evaluating XPaths. But often in testing and development, we are using back-end methods and utilities to test and go back and forth and sort of cycle through changes and without the visibility of looking into a CCD or looking to the XPath, sometimes that can present a challenge. And it's especially challenging when developers are new to CCDs and they're dealing with these really large documents, and trying to make sense of what changes are happening along the way in order to create the custom transforms. So if we open up this first section here, the XPath Evaluator, this is designed to help inspect CCDs um, by allowing the users to select an XPath and then apply it to a source document. So I'm just going to select Upload to grab a sample CCD. You can also use your own samples. You can also paste directly into this window right here if you have a CCD document you're working with. For the XPaths, you can type the XPath that you're trying to test, or you can also paste it here. Or there are also some predefined XPaths. These are based on the SDA to CDA, or sorry, CDA or CCD to SDA annotations, which detail what mappings the base code, the default code in Iris is using. So for example, there are 3 sending facility possibilities here, and this is aligned to what are the 3 alternate locations that the code base is using to look for the sending facility. So one is takes precedence inside the code base, and if one is not found, then the location in 2 is searched for. So I'm just going to pick up the first one here, and you'll see how the XPath has the fully qualified namespace for HL7. And then when I click Submit, what happens is that evaluation, the XPath and the source document, is sent to Iris for evaluation. So it is going against the parser that is being used within Iris. And no result was found there. So we can select a different XPath. The easiest way to get back to the defaults is to delete from here. And so I can try the second one. And if I click Submit, it then has found that location. So this will help developers inspect the document. Typically, when first receiving a CCD, right, we like to look for, well, what is the sending facility? What is the facility OID? What are the patient MRNs or encounter numbers? And this is going to help with that process. Being able to find that will just make it easier to see, to figure out whether the document is compliant or not. And also, it will allow, during development, if we're trying to target a specific location, you can test whether the source document has that location or has a value in that location and what it is. So I'm just showing a couple of different paths here and the results. If they're not found, let me find one more. And then you can inspect the values and see whether or not it is what you expected. So that's the XPath. If there's an XPath with multiple returns, it'll also display in this output if there's more than a single value that matches that location. And so for the next section right here, the CCDA to SDA transforms, the purpose of this section is to apply the standard, sort of the vanilla iris transformations for different versions of CCDA to SDA. And this is without doing any additional pre-processing or massaging of the message. So once again, I'll select a document. The CCD populates down below, and then I'm going to run the 2.1 version transformation, and I'll click submit. And what returns, let's get a slightly pretty printed version of that. What returns now is the SDA contents that we see populated in here. So we see the resulting SDA from the standard transform. The nice thing is on this side, if we want to check to see the results of the transform on the outbound, we can make changes. So for instance, if I want to try a different MRN or a different extension number in here, and I'm going to give it a 9999959, I will go ahead and submit. And then I'll search. And you can see that the edit over here has been translated or transformed over here. And so that is equivalent, or that shows up in the patient number field on the output side. So we can make little modifications on the input and immediately see what the transformation in iris will return based on that. That's very, very useful when we're trying to see if we were to map the inbound CCD, change location of certain data, would it then map to the correct place through the code base? Because typically we find that the code base will handle about 80%, 80 to 90% of the mappings we need, and there's only small modifications needed on the input in order to get it to conform. So this helps us find out what are those modifications that are needed. The very last section is the template tester, and that is because typically pre-transforms, they're attempting to just massage that input CCD and make small changes. And so the idea is, instead of entering a whole style sheet, the template tester allows us to create or paste in the target template that you're trying to test. So in this case right here, there's a template that is looking for a section with the template ID listed here, and it's just trying to remove it. And so I'm going to go ahead and upload another document, same one. And so let's take a look at the allergies here. In this case right here, there are no allergies, but there is still this section right here, which is showing up. And so this template is trying to test, all right, what if I want to remove that section? And so this template right here will be applied to be added to a very simple style sheet that just has the identity template, and then applied to the source document. So I'll click submit. Right. And so we can see the result is, on the input side, we had the allergies, patient has no allergies, and there was a section right underneath it, right here. And over here, we see that, oh, that section has been removed. So this template did what we were trying to do. And once again, making small changes, we can make individual changes to this template here, and see the results right away. And this gives us what is the evaluation, or what is the processing that the standard that iris would have done with this template. Similarly, we can make changes on this side to the document and see if the changes or see the changes immediately reflected in the output. The idea is to speed up the development of CCD transformations and analysis by providing a little visibility. Some additional features, which I purposely kept to the end, is there is a viewer tab, and the purpose of the viewer toggle, sorry, is to, if you click on it, it does give a pretty print version of the CCD here, and it is collapsible. So the goal is to make it a little easier to inspect the CCDs. However, we are working through some of the performance on this, as occasionally it will still take a moment to work through things. So there are some additional features that we are adding on just to make the usability and the visibility a little bit better. And we look forward to any suggestions and feedback that you may have once you've played around with this application.